The competition began with a standard long-range drill, targets at 500 yards, wind at 8 miles per hour from the southwest, and each shooter getting 5 rounds to demonstrate precision. The SEALs went first, their M4 carbines barking in controlled bursts as they methodically punched tight groupings into the paper silhouettes. Petty Officer Ramirez, a veteran of multiple deployments, scored a near-perfect 48 out of 50, earning nods of approval from his teammates. Lieutenant Hayes followed, his shots equally impressive, clipping the bullseye with surgical accuracy honed from years of Bud-S training and real-world ops. The group clapped and exchanged fist bumps, their confidence palpable. Then it was Sarah's turn. She shouldered her grandfather's weathered Remington 700, a bolt-action .308 that looked antique next to the SEAL's high-tech optics and suppressors. The men watched with polite smirks, expecting a respectable but amateur effort. Sarah exhaled slowly, her focus narrowing like a laser. Her first shot cracked through the air, dead center. The second, third, and fourth followed in rhythmic succession, each one stacking impossibly close to the last. By the fifth, the target resembled a single ragged hole, no spreads, no flyers. The range officer checked the digital readout, 50 out of 50, with sub-MOA grouping that defied the crosswind. A stunned silence fell over the group. Colonel Harrison's jaw tightened, his skepticism cracking like old leather. Beginner's luck, one SEAL muttered, but Ramirez shook his head, eyes wide with genuine respect. They escalated to moving targets at 300 yards, simulating combat evasion. The SEALs performed admirably, hitting 80 to 90% under timed pressure. Sarah, unflinching, adapted seamlessly, her rural upbringing tracking deer through Nebraska fields translating to instinctive lead calculations. She cleared the course with 100% hits, her movements economical and unhurried. Whispers turned to murmurs of awe. Colonel Harrison, ever the professional, called for one final challenge, a hostage rescue simulation at 800 yards, with pop-up targets and variable lighting to mimic dawn patrols. The SEALs averaged solid scores, but fatigue from their morning PT showed in minor misses. Sarah, fresh and composed, nailed every shot, center mass on threats, zero collateral. As the last echo faded, the colonel approached her, his stern face breaking into a rare smile. "Young lady, you've got a gift that's 1 in a million. Ever consider enlisting?" The SEALs gathered around, offering handshakes and stories of their own impossible shots, the initial amusement replaced by camaraderie. Sarah blushed but stood tall, her visit transforming from a curiosity into a legend whispered in barracks for years. As she drove back to LA that evening, the setting sun painting the Pacific gold, she knew her path had just taken an unexpected turn, perhaps toward a future where her talent served something greater than county fairs. The SEALs rotated through the 200-yard challenge with focused intensity, their M4A1 rifles equipped with advanced optics that compensated for distance and environmental variables. Lieutenant Emily Chen, one of the few female SEALs in the unit and a decorated marksman with expertise in variable wind conditions, took her turn first. She adjusted for the gentle cross breeze rustling the range flags, her calculations precise from endless drills in diverse terrains from arid deserts to humid jungles. Her 5 shots landed in a respectable cluster, scoring 47 out of 50, accounting for a minor wind gust that tugged one round slightly off-center. The team murmured approvals, but the earlier amusement had evaporated. They were now in full competitive mode, treating this as a benchmark against an unexpected rival. Next up was Chief Petty Officer David Kane, a burly veteran whose steady hands had earned him the nickname Ironside for his uncanny ability to hit without relying heavily on tech. His grouping was even tighter, a 49 that drew fist bumps and quiet cheers, reinforcing the SEALs' belief in their superior training regimen. Sarah observed each shooter with keen interest, mentally noting their adjustments and techniques, valuable insights she could adapt from her solitary ranch practices. When her turn came, the growing crowd of onlookers, now including instructors, support staff, and even a few off-duty officers, created a palpable buzz. Colonel Harrison handed her a wind meter reading, his tone neutral but his eyes watchful, as if testing whether she'd falter under scrutiny. Sarah nodded appreciatively, factoring in the 5 miles per hour variable gusts without fanfare. She chambered her rounds into the old Remington, its walnut stock worn smooth from generations of use, and assumed her stance, feet planted like roots in Nebraska soil, body aligned in perfect harmony with the weapon. The first shot echoed crisply, piercing the target's heart. The second and third followed with metronomic precision, each one defying the wind as if she had an innate sixth sense for its whims. By the fourth and fifth, the digital scoring system lit up, 50 out of 50, with a grouping under half an inch sub-MOA performance that would make sniper school instructors rethink their curricula. A collective gasp rippled through the spectators. Chief Kane whistled low, shaking his head in disbelief as he compared targets side by side. "That's not just talent, that's witchcraft," he muttered, earning chuckles laced with awe from his comrades. Lieutenant Chen approached Sarah with a respectful nod, asking about her breathing technique, a rare admission of curiosity from someone accustomed to being the expert. Colonel Harrison, his stern facade cracking further, called for a brief pause to recalibrate the range for the ultimate test, 300 yards with simulated combat stressors, including timed pop-up targets, low-light filters to mimic dusk operations, and artificial smoke to obscure visibility. This was SEAL territory scenarios drilled into muscle memory through grueling evolutions designed to separate elite from merely good. The colonel privately wondered if Sarah's rural hone skills could translate to such chaos, but a spark of excitement flickered in his eyes. Whatever the outcome, this day was rewriting assumptions. As the setup commenced, the SEALs huddled, sharing tips and psyching each other up like before a high-stakes OP. Sarah, meanwhile, remained serene, sipping water and visualizing trajectories as her grandfather had taught, turning pressure into fuel. Whispers among the crowd grew, "Who is she? Think she'll crack now?" But Sarah felt alive, her pulse steady, ready to prove that extraordinary marksmanship wasn't confined to uniforms or academies. The final round began under a deepening afternoon sky, with Rodriguez volunteering to lead off, his shots cutting through the haze with 85% hits under the timer. The bar was set high, but the air thrummed with possibility as all eyes turned to Sarah once more. As the crowd swelled, a mix of curiosity and skepticism buzzing through the air like the variable breeze, Colonel Harrison cleared his throat and raised his voice to regain control. "Impressive work, Ms. Mitchell. But let's see how you handle real operational variables." He signaled to the range officers to initiate the 300-yard phase with full stressors, intermittent smoke grenades puffing hazy veils across the line of sight, pop-up targets mimicking erratic enemy movements, and a timer enforcing split-second decisions under low-light filters that cast the range in twilight shadows. This wasn't just marksmanship anymore, it was a gauntlet designed to forge SEALs into unflinching operators, where hesitation could mean mission failure or worse. The SEALs straightened, their competitive fire ignited. Petty Officer Rodriguez, still smarting from the earlier rounds but channeling it into focus, stepped up first. His combat-honed instincts kicked in as he navigated the chaos, adjusting for the acrid smoke that swirled unpredictably, leading targets that bobbed and weaved on hydraulic arms, all while the clock ticked down mercilessly. His M40A5 sniper rifle spat rounds with lethal intent, nailing 42 out of 50 possible hits solid under the duress, earning grunts of respect from his brothers in arms. "That's how we do it in the field," he said, wiping sweat from his brow as he stepped back, the adrenaline still pumping. Lieutenant Hayes followed, her performance a notch higher at 45, her quick adaptations to the shifting visibility drawing nods. She'd once dropped a high-value target through a sandstorm in Iraq, and it showed. Sarah watched intently, absorbing the SEALs' tactics without a word, how they anticipated target patterns, conserved breaths amid the haze, and trusted their gear's night vision enhancements. When her name echoed over the speakers, the gathered observers leaned in, phones discreetly recording what might become facility lore. Colonel Harrison approached her with a fresh clip of ammunition, his voice low, "No pressure, but this separates the gifted from the great." Sarah smiled faintly, her Nebraska roots grounding her amid the high-tech spectacle. She loaded her grandfather's Remington with deliberate care, its simplicity a stark contrast to the SEAL's arsenal, yet somehow fitting like an old friend in a new war. The timer started with a sharp beep, smoke billowing as the first target snapped up at an oblique angle. Sarah's shot cracked almost instinctively, threading through the murk to center punch it. The second and third followed in fluid succession, her body swaying minimally to counter the wind's whispers and the target's dances. By the 10th, the crowd was murmuring, by the 20th, a hush had fallen. She didn't rush, didn't falter, her rural hunts translating to an uncanny predictive sense, as if she could feel the mechanisms beneath the range. When the buzzer ended the drill, the score flashed, 50 out of 50.